The Lowdown on GMO, GM food.
What is so worrying about GM foods? You might say. Haven't we been modifying our crops for decades? Yes, hybrids, but since 1994, different genes were introduced into the food chain for humans, and now, most animal feed is GM. So even if we avoid GM foods, if we eat farmed meat, then we are still consuming genetically modified food. Let me introduce you to Dr. Russell Blaylock.
Dr. Russell Blaylock, MD, was a renowned neurosurgeon for over 25 years, and is an author of many books on health and nutrition.
GM food. It's worse than we thought. Let's take a look at the history of GM foods.
I'm interested.
The whole idea of genetically modifying plants for human consumption is to make the plants more resistant to diseases and attacks by insects.
And to enhance their nutritional value.
Who's telling this story?
It also makes plants resistant to common herbicides.
I was just coming to that. Many environmental groups began to protest the introduction of these plants for human consumption.
When did this all start?
GM foods were approved in 1994, and by 2003, were in wide use. But what few people know today, is that GM foods represent 75 to 95% of America's biggest crops.
Corn, 75%, soya, 95%, sugar beets, squash, alfalfa, zucchini, courgettes, potatoes, possibly low-risk, peas, papaya, vegetable oils, and even farm-raised salmon.
Now, we've been told that GMOs are safe for human consumption, but no long-term study reports they are safe. In fact, quite the opposite.
We haven't even talked about the European GM market. But remember, many processed products are made in America.
What did they consider to be a lifetime study? We can't study it on a human, so they used the lifetime of lab rats and mice. Is that a comparison?
How long do you live for?
Couple of years, if I'm lucky.
Here's the scientific findings.
Lab mice, fed on a 33% GMO diet, began developing aggressive cancers, particularly mammary cancer, liver failure and kidney failure within a few months. Outrageous. Shockingly, 50% of the males, and 70% of the female animals, succumbed to an early death at an age equivalent in human years, to 40 to 50 years.
Dr. Blaylock said, the length of testing required, according to the World Health Organization, was only 90 days. This was all they needed to prove that GMOs were safe. This is the equivalent of proving that cigarettes are safe, after 90 days, if no side effects were found. Unbelievable.
Yet, in that 90 days of testing, the study animals had tumors that were almost the size of the animal and rapid growing.
Big GMO companies spend millions of dollars to defeat laws that would require GMO labeling. But the bottom line is, cheaper produce equals more profits.
You'd have more luck looking through a crystal ball than trying to work out what has been hidden in our food, especially processed food. Cornstarch is in many foods, and soya too. How can we avoid it when it's hidden in 30,000 food products?
Once the genetics of the crop have been altered, they will contaminate non-GMO plants, and the process cannot be reversed. Altering the genetics of the plant increases the production of natural pesticides called phytoalexins, made by the plant itself.
That don't sound good.
Everyone knows that if you grow a large crop, it's gonna blow its seed into non-GM fields, infecting that crop with GM seed. Not good for those who want to grow non-GM or organic crops.
That's right, and the horror is, we cannot reverse GM planting. As I was saying, with GM genes, when you alter the genetics of a plant, if you want to make a plant more resistant to disease, or insects, you insert a gene that causes that plant to produce higher levels of a natural pesticide which we call phytoalexins. All plants produce this natural pesticide to protect themselves. Usually it's in a very low concentration, and it only secretes this when the plant is under attack, either by disease or by insect.
This is scaring me.
The problem, when genetically inserting this gene, is it produces much higher levels of this natural pesticide, and it produces it all of the time. So that if you eat the plant, then you're getting very high levels of these phytoalexins, which are known to be carcinogenic.
I'm not protecting no GM rubbish.
The other thing they can do, is to make these terminal seeds, which basically means the farmer has to buy new seeds every time he wants a new crop every year. This means the farmer has no control over the price of this seed, and this cost is passed on to the consumer. I mentioned about labeling GM foods, because of the efforts of GM companies. No state is required to label GM foods, even though many have turned out, over 2 million, protesting about GM foods. Also, why are these seeds sold alongside more herbicides and pesticides? These pesticide-ready seeds can withstand even more herbicides being sprayed on them, particularly soybeans. A gene is inserted to make that plant resist to herbicide, so the weeds are easier to manage. The trouble is, the plant will absorb some of the herbicide. This has been found to be carcinogenic, particularly causing lymphoma and leukemia.
What about animal feed?
GM crops are being fed to us farmed animals.
Travis Davis, health publisher at Newsmax, previewed Dr. Blaylock's presentation. GMOs enter the body through thousands of packaged and canned food products, through fresh produce and through meat, chicken, and fish you eat.
What can you do? Do your own research, check social media for groups. Lobby supermarkets. Google anti-GMO groups, international GMO awareness.
What can you do? Be aware of marketing campaigns by GMO companies. Look at your labels carefully, remembering that products that are corn or soya-based are probably GMO. Also, be cautious of organic labels. Do your homework regarding brands.
Watch Dr. Russell Blaylock's video, Cracking the GMO Code. www.thehealthcure.org. Sign petitions to lawmakers stating your objections. The more people voice their concerns, the more pressure on the GMO companies.
There is even GM cotton. My goodness, how do we keep ourselves and our loved ones safe? Get wise, do your homework. Good luck, and eat safely to stay healthy. Avoid eating farm-bred animals, as you are eating GM by proxy. Some supermarkets are getting wise. Keep demanding GM food to be labeled, and keep informed. Thank you for reading. Links to the various websites in description.
Groundbreaking study. Pigs harmed by the consumption of feed containing genetically modified crops, severe inflammation of stomach and intestines, and abnormal uterus growth. Pigs have a similar digestive system to people, so we need to investigate if people are also getting digestive problems from eating GM crops. Dr. Judy Carman.
Doctors finally turn against Monsanto, prescribe non-GMO diet to their patients. Amazing recoveries happen. Read the book, Seeds of Deception, Exposing Corporate and Government Lies About the Safety of Genetically Engineered Food, by Jeffrey M. Smith.
America wants GMOs labeled. Include supporters from 50 states, of which 91% of Americans want GMOs labeled, which averages at 20,000 supporters per state. 1 million sets a record for comments on a food petition submitted to the FDA. Only 4% of Americans oppose labeling GMOs, 89% of Republicans say, label. 90% of independents say, label. 93% of Democrats say, label. 40 countries mandate labeling of GMOs. More than 1 million Americans have called on the FDA to label GMOs. Isn't it time to listen? More at www.justlabelit.org.
Another interesting book. Altered Genes, Twisted Truth. How the Venture to Genetically Engineer Our Food has subverted science, corrupted government, and systematically deceived the public, by Stephen M. Drucker. Stephen M. Drucker is a public interest attorney who founded the Alliance for Biointegrity and, as its executive director, initiated a lawsuit that forced the U.S. Food and Drug Administration to divulge its files on genetically engineered, GE foods. This revealed that politically influenced administrators had covered up the extensive warnings of their own scientists about the abnormal risks, misrepresented the facts, and then allowed these novel products onto the market, without requiring the testing that's mandated by federal food safety law. In 2017, the book received an Outstanding Environmental Peace Award.